Hello and welcome back to Football Kentron, the only English podcast dedicated to Armenian football. I am your host Adam, and I am joined here by the usual suspects in Chadens, Armen, and Tito. How are you guys doing today?
Confused.
Okay, confused. Got it. Well, before we jump right in, we have a ridiculously packed episode, and we have a lot of material to get through. So please, if you like what we do, follow us on our social media, on our Instagram and Twitter at Football Kentron. Subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel, which is live now. Listen to all our previous episodes like Future Stars 1 and 2 because we're Oracle geniuses, and obviously you should be listening to every episode anyway. And you can notice things that we just randomly pull out. Whew. Okay, well, boys, a lot to get through. Let's start domestically in Armenia. The Armenia Cup final took place last weekend, where Ararat Yerevan won their first silverware of the season after defeating Alashkert 3-1 in the cup final. Vardan Bichakyan, the father of Armenian National Team winger Vahan Bichakyan, led Ararat to their first trophy in over a decade with a very convincing win over Abraham Hachumian's Alashkert side. Arvan Papikyan scored an absolute banger of a goal that we posted all over social media, so I hope you saw it by now. And Ararat took the first European spot from Armenia. They will be competing in the UEFA Europa Conference League in its inaugural season, and they will be starting in the first qualifying round. As a result of bad performances, the Alashkert manager Hachumian was relieved of his duties, and he was replaced by Alexander Grigoryan. Now, Grigoryan has managed in Armenia before with Urartu this season, actually, but he was fired. But before that, he has managed RPL sides Tambov, Khimki, and Anzi. So he has plenty of very, very big top flight experiences, and he's already won 2 consecutive matches in a row with very solid performances. And he's currently top of the table and pretty much 3 points away from winning the title after 2 weeks of being in charge, which is pretty crazy. And that takes us into the Armenian Premier League title race, where Alashkert and Noah are now the only 2 clubs that are competing for the title and for the UEFA Champions League spot. The scenario breaks down like this. Alashkert need a win or a draw to win the title. Now, they can win and then flat out no one can catch them. But if they draw, Noah has to lose or draw for Alashkert to win. Now, if Noah is going to win the title, Noah has to win, and Alashkert need to draw or lose. So, statistically speaking, Alashkert seems to have the much better chance at this current moment in time. The matches are going to take place this Friday, May 28th, and Alashkert take on Ararat Armenia, Ararat take on Shirak, Noah take on Van, and Punic take on Urartu. And this was something that Tito and I were actually talking about before we started recording. Tito, talk us through a little bit about the European scenario, because there's still 1 or 2 spaces up for grabs, right?
Yep. So Alashkert is already qualified for European competitions. And Ararat Yerevan has already qualified for the Conference League because they won the National Cup. So Noah would have to lose 9-0, and Urartu and Ararat Armenia
You never know.
need to win. And in that scenario, Noah wouldn't play European competitions. But the most important fight would be between Ararat Armenia and Urartu. Both have 35 points, and they are both 3rd and 4th.
So let me pose this question to you guys as a group. What do you think is going to happen? First of all, who's gonna win the league? Is it going to be Alashkert or is it going to be Noah? Armen, let's start with you. What do you think?
Honestly, they're both pretty similar to me because in my opinion, Ararat has been the overall the best performing team because they've managed to like be on the top of the
Mhm.
APL and win the cup,
Mhm.
and that's no small feat, you know. And so I'm glad for Coach Vatan. What a coach, man! And
But
imagine
now they're
this,
now they're
bro.
sitting fifth though, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
That's how
doesn't matter
close it's been.
by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and even then they're sitting fifth, like 6 points behind the first place, so it's not even far, you know. Yeah, you said it. That's how close it's been. And I'm going back to Ararat Yerevan. I'm glad they managed to win the cup and play Conference League because it's a way easier cup for a team that has what it takes to get to group stage there. And as for title race, imagine if Coach Alexander Grigorian takes the helm of Alashkert and ends up winning the league title just playing 2 games. That would be sick.
Look, I think if they keep Davidian for next season, I could see them making the Conference League. I think Grigorian is a very good coach,
You
and
mean Davidian?
sorry, yeah, I meant Davidian.
Good, good,
If he stays,
good player.
but also part of me hopes he doesn't stay. We'll talk about him more later.
Oh,
All right. Now we have some news from abroad. Chadens, what do you got for us?
Hovhannes Hachumian has won the Cyprus Cup with anorthosis. He did not play due to injury, but was integral in the lead-up. The European Conference League spot in the quarterfinals is guaranteed because of it. His contract expires next week, but we're completely unclear with what he will do next. Greek second division was won by Ionikos, as we covered it all over social media. The Blue Rangers Brigade is based in a heavily Armenian populated area in Athens, which is close to Olympiacos, where GG10 Ghazarian used to play. And also, there's an Armenian in the squad. His name is Vasilios Bogosian, who's been mostly a substitute in all the season, but he's a die-hard fan of Ionikos. And because as they are promoted, we have Chalisir from in Apollon and Ghazarian in Lamia, who are Armenians playing in the Super League. So altogether, there's possibly going to be 3 if everything remains the same. And from Slovakia, we've got Vahan Bichakchan, who came on as a late substitute in extra time, but they lost the final with a score of 2-1. It's still European Conference League spot guaranteed again, which is pretty good. And we've got a transfer, Varastad Haroyan, who's reportedly signed with La Liga side Kadir. It's not officially announced yet, by the way, so that's why we don't have 100% official pictures. He will be joining the Spanish side this summer and will be the second Armenian national team footballer who is going to be playing in Spain. Arazos Bilis had a loan spell in Rayo Vallecano a few years ago. Boys, what do you think?
Huge. That's what I think. I think if Edgar Sevikian also commits to Armenia, then we have 2 Armenians playing in La Liga. But no, it's in all seriousness though, Haroyan, our captain, emphasis, our captain, 100% deserves a transfer like this, and I just wish it happened sooner.
Well, yeah, I think it deserves it. Spain is big.
Yeah, I think the same. I really want to see him playing in a great level, in a top level league.
yeah, top 5.
Yeah, I don't know because I didn't watch Cadiz matches, but I hope he can compete in that level, and yeah.
Can you imagine him just slide tackling Messi just from the back, like a nice around, just lay it out?
I think right now the most important part of this deal, if it happens, is that he would. It's like more flashes for us because he will be competing in a top league level.
Yeah, more attention for Armenian national team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. It could have happened sooner, but he was supposed to go to Greece last year. He didn't go because of the war. Instead, he ended up going to Armenia during the war and helping out with donations for a week. He's really captain material, and we're very happy for him. Like genuinely, he deserves this. So, yeah, I mean, the future looking bright, bro.
Yeah, and speaking of the future, we have Edward Spertian, who has reportedly made a decision on his future. We all thought he was likely going to leave Krasnodar, but it seems as though he has signed a 3-year contract extension with the Russian Premier League side. Now, we have no details on this deal. We have no idea if it includes first team action, and we're assuming it does because of the nature of his situation in Krasnodar. We would hope that he would be smart enough to not sign a deal that doesn't guarantee him first team play, considering how he's in a very pivotal. I
honestly want to know who manages him, who's his agent, because but for the quality of player that he is, I mean, remember everyone listening to our previous podcasts that Spertian is, by our assessment, one of the best young Armenian talents around, present and future. And he's being frozen out shamefully in Russia, and he needs to get out of there. Hopefully, for me, and I say this with absolutely no certainty, but I do hope that the extension is strictly due to a bigger sale, like that Krasnodar trying to cash in big.
Yeah, that's like exactly release clause or something.
That's the thing, bro. You never know,
I hope there's no release clause, like an overvalued release clause or something, and then.
But that's probably what it is. He's one of the highest valued players in his division in Russia, and he's only 20 years old. So he's
today he just got chosen best player of the Russian second division. He was the youngest Armenian national team to play UEFA Champions League, 1 year younger than Heno when he made his debut. He scored on his debut national team game and won the penalty that got us the 3 points. I don't understand. I hope he leaves now, like yesterday.
That's the thing. Unlike Shahoyan, we had no idea what the interest was in Spertian. It was zipped. We had no clubs linked, nothing. But I'm guessing, like we say, the biggest moves happen in silence. It can very much be they put a 20 million release clause on him, and if any club wants him, they're gonna have to pay Krasnodar that much. And
because release clause wasn't disclosed in the open, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it wasn't. All we know is that he signed the extension. We literally have no details at all.
Shady, bro. Shady. That's shady right there.
Welcome to Russia. Well, moving on. Speaking of agents, actually, Gira Shahoyan might have a new agent. Former Azzurri and World Cup winner with Italy in 2006, Cristian Zaccaro, posted on his Instagram, which has now actually been deleted from what I've seen.
It was a story and it ended 24 hours.
Yeah, it expired.
And it expired. There you go. Sorry, I'm not Instagram savvy. And apparently, and from the looks of it, he is actually an agent. He does represent several players, and he is very well connected in the Italian system. And Shahoyan was called the best player born in 2001, something along the lines. That's what the Instagram post said, or the story rather. Guys, is a move to Italy on the cards for Girar?
Hopefully. I mean, he's definitely good enough. And if now Zaccaro is his new agent, which apparently he is, oh boy, we're excited.
Yeah, I mean, Sevilla sounded pretty good to me, and we had this discussion in length in the previous episode. If you want to go listen to that, but you know what? I wouldn't mind him and Mkhitaryan in Napoli. that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Italy, Henrikh Mkhitaryan has reportedly made up with Mourinho and wants to stay at Roma. We don't know much. That's pretty much all we know. And it's come out today that apparently the former Bayern Munich manager and current manager of Monaco, Niko Kovac, has said that he wants Mkhitaryan to come play at Monaco. Mkhitaryan has drawn interest from several clubs, including Monaco, Juventus, and AC Milan, to name a few. And there's also, of course, the never-ending interest from Russia. And we know he wants to stay, but we also know he wants to play Champions League. We don't know what move he's going to make. Apparently, he and his agent, Mino Raiola, are going to be making the decision in the coming few days. So we'll probably know very soon where Henrikh will end up. Well, another superstar who we are very passionate about here in Football Kentron, named Sergius Aldamian, has been on fire lately, right, Onman?
My boy, our boy, really, because what a season. I mean, we were waiting for Sacco to play for months with his new coach at Hoffenheim after Schreuder got sacked or he resigned for a reason. This new coach came in, Sebastian Hoeneß, and he benched Sacco. Like all of a sudden, second best Hoffenheim performer last season got benched and was absolutely out of sight. But by the last few months, when Hoffenheim did so bad this season, this was Hoffenheim's actually worst season since like in 5 or 6 years. So they were basically out of every fight for European spots by a couple months ago, before season got like ended, and coach decided it was time to play the substitutes, the guys he didn't like. Among them was some Sergius Aldamian. So he ended up playing. He ended up scoring and assisting with like nonstop during the little time he's had. And speaking of stats, we have his. The two last Bundesliga games for Sacco. 1 goal this weekend against Hertha Berlin, a beautiful goal. And 1 assist, and also beautiful because that's how Sacco plays, against Armenia Bielefeld. So overall, this Bundesliga season, Sacco ended up with 470 minutes, which is nothing, like 5 games, 2 goals and 3 assists. That's overall 5 direct goal participations, almost 1 every match. Like every game, you had Sacco participating in a goal directly. Not to mention lead-up plays like last weekend, also against Hertha, when he started to play in Kramaric's late winner. With 3 assists, Sacco became overall, in absolute terms, this is like facts, the 3rd best assister in the entire squad, as we said, having played little to no time. And for reference, Sacco has scored 1 goal every 94 minutes, 1 goal every game, literally. For reference, Kramaric, Hoffenheim's best player, Croatia starter. We're going to go over that in a while. Kramaric also scored 1 goal every 92 minutes, just like Sacco. Bebu, the third best performer, 1 goal every 140 minutes. And then it's even worse for the rest of the squad. Sacco literally has Kramaric types of numbers. That's how good Sacco was this season. And in Europa League, he played only, check this one out, he played only 115 minutes. That's literally a game and 20 minutes. Scored 2 goals in that time. That's 1 goal in 60 minutes. It's literally insane. It's what Sacco doesn't deserve this. Doesn't deserve to be benched the way it was. And this Hoeneß guy ended up being a complete clown for Hoffenheim. No disrespect, but that's how it is. They did awful in the German Cup, in the Pokal. So yeah, Sacco overall 3rd top assister after Bebu and Kramaric, but those two players have played 5 times more than Sako. So overall, Sako was literally the best assister in the team with 1 assist every 160 minutes. That was huge. We really don't exaggerate when we say Sako is way too good for this, at least this Hoffenheim squad. It would have been different when Hoffenheim had, Firmino, Kevin Volland,
Nagelsmann.
Others, Exactly. But now, today, and last season too, when they actually got to European spots, and Sako was playing, coincidentally, in both seasons Sako has spent at Hoffenheim, he was one of the best, and he played little to no time. So as if quality appreciation was not enough on our behalf, as we usually do quality appreciations, the stats now confirm what we have always talked about, whether it's in the group chat or here on air. Sako just is too good, and he said it himself. Adam, can you tell us what Sako said in Mkhitaryan's show?
Yeah, so he went on Edgar Mkhitaryan's show last month, I believe, and he said, I need to get more playing time. I'm not happy with my situation here. Either the club makes a change and the manager goes, or I go. And he intends to stay in the Bundesliga or in a top 5 European league at worst. But he definitely ruled out going to Russia, which we know that he's had like a humongous offer from, and he was like, no, because I actually want to play good football. Yeah, right. Yeah, he's if Klopp was smart, he would sign him.
You're good.
Well, this is just phase 1 of what we expect.
He's definitely good enough, though.
Oh, I completely agree. And any manager,
at least
any
for
good
bench
manager knows how to use him.
Yeah.
I mean, he could start in most clubs, in my opinion, in the top 5 league. And we know that other teams know his quality. We just kind of have to be patient, just like with a lot of the players that are going to be moving around this summer, like we anticipate and we spoke about in our last episode. There's like 15 to 20 players that are probably going to make moves this summer. And it's just about being patient and hoping that they have the representatives that make the right decision. Well, speaking of making right decisions, Joaquin Caparros has called up a group of players.
You went there. Okay.
For the Armenian National Team's 2 friendly matches next week against Croatia on June 1st and Sweden on June 6th. Now, we're going to go over the squad and talk about some of the controversies and some of the decisions that were made. Starting in the goalkeeper spot, we have David Yurchenko, of course, goalkeeper at Alashkert, the Armenia's #1 undisputed starter, and will very much likely be playing probably the first half of each of these games, I'm assuming. And then we have Grigor Mkhitaryan, who has made a handful of appearances for the senior Armenian national team. He is 34 years old, and he has not played for Armenia for a very long time. He had only made one.
Is he the same Mkhitaryan from before, or the younger brother? I'm assuming it's the same because of the age.
The same one, yeah. So he's the older brother, and he's the one that he's only made one competitive appearance. That was against Serbia, and it was a 2-0 loss.
It wasn't bad.
Fun fact, we've never won when he's played. Next up is Arman Nersesyan, who is the goalkeeper for Bekma and Armenia under-21. So very excited to see him, and hopefully he gets 45 minutes.
No, he's also been called for the under-21. I don't think he's playing.
I think he might play against Croatia. I think he might get 45 minutes against Croatia.
Could be.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see, hopefully. Moving on to defenders. Tito, who do we got?
We got Varasdat Haroyan, our captain. We have Andrei Chalicer, Kamo Hovannisyan, Daron Boskanian, Hagop Hagopian, and 2 players from Ararat, Armenia, Albert Hachumian and David Talderian. I think that, well, of course, Hachumian is injured, so he wasn't called. But I want to see what are we going to do with the number 4, the right back.
Yeah. Kamo.
That's what Talderian is for. Talderian, he plays right back for Ararat Armenia. I'm kind of disappointed it's not Jordi Ararat because
I think
he's the best fullback in the league in my opinion.
I mean, I guess there's always gonna be people you're gonna be disappointed they gone missing. There's Ararat. There's also Girard Markarian, I believe, from Ararat, who's had an insane season, as we said, winning the Armenian Cup and fighting for the APL till the end. And he's also being left out. I am optimistic for the one that wasn't left out. That is David Talderian, under 21 player, and I've liked how he plays for a while now, and I'm very excited to see a little bit of him at least, because always U21 qualifying spots are more important than friendlies. So if he gets some time, I'm gonna be good.
I think another one I'm actually excited to see is Hachumian. He's also pretty much broken into the Ararat Armenia first team in the second half of the season, similar to what Eric Simonian did at Urartu. And again, I'm disappointed Simonian is not included in this squad, but from the looks of it, it looks like Caparros is rotating between young defenders, and he's trying to get a feel of which defender is going to help the most. So I think we will see Simonian. Simonian, of course, was called up for the under-21 team, who we'll be talking about in a little bit later. But Hachumian is going to get very good experience learning from Haroyan and Chalisier, so I think it's going to be wonderful for them.
By the way, another important and interesting point is that Hagop Hagopian, who has previously featured as a creative / all-around midfielder, he's now being considered as a defender by Caparros. And we know that Hagopian's favorite positions are central / defensive midfield or fullback. So in this case, we will probably see Hagopian being used as a fullback during this couple of friendlies.
Yeah, he's been playing wing back for Urartu in the past few weeks. So that it makes sense. Let's go now to the midfield. Charents, walk us through who has been called up.
We know most of them because of the Nations League and because of their performances. It's Vahan Bichakcan starting the midfielders. We've got Dikran Barserian along with Khoren Bayramian and Kevro Khazarian. Edouard Spetsian is coming again to this squad. Karen Muradian, Artak Grigorian, Shirar Shagoyan, Ubey Marangulo, and David Davidian.
Very interesting midfield call-ups here. Let's start with Davidian. I had mentioned him earlier when I was talking about the Armenian Premier League and Alashkert. He is a dynamic winger, and he loves to take on players. I mean, he's not afraid to dribble or to try to dribble past people. And the good thing about him is he tends to do it successfully almost every time. And he has very, very solid assist stats in the Armenian Premier League. He actually assisted Alashkert's goal today by, I think he sprinted or he turned the ball in between two defenders, sprinted past them, crossed it in with his right foot, and it was tapped in for a goal. So he's been playing wonderfully, and I'm very, very, very excited, and I hope he gets a good amount of minutes.
I think we can tell from how the lineup will look. You can kind of tell with the number of players in each
position. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be 4-2-3-1 or something.
So clearly, central midfield options here are Angulo, Grigorian, Muradian, Spetsian. So we have two ball-playing midfielders in Muradian and Spetsian. We have two defensive ones in Grigorian and Angulo. What do you guys think about leaving off Udo from the list?
It's fine, I think. I wouldn't because it's international games in general. It's friendlies. So I think in general, I was not expecting big names. That's why I'm a little surprised with the midfielders being a lot of the well-known ones rather than from Armenian Premier League. Because I thought Caparros would give a chance of more combinations to try. so that we can see which players he should really consider for the next World Cup qualifiers, because the next World Cup qualifiers is not just 3 games in 10 days. It's 2-3 months, and it's a matter of testing and then performing.
Yeah.
But he cannot rely on the testing too much.
And I think generally from the looks of the squad, we have 12 players that played domestically in Armenia, and Caparros has said he wants to give those players a shot. And to me, it seems like he's kind of looking at backup options, maybe not even necessarily options off the bench, but just in case someone gets injured. Let's say, can Hachumian come in if Kalisir gets injured, for example? Can Hachumian come in and play as that bench central defender, because we know he's more likely to start Voskanyan. He's not going to start Hachumian, but let's say he has to make a center back substitution mid-game. Can he trust Hachumian to be subbed in and do the job? I think
it's a 5-letter word. It's a 5-letter word that I always say whenever we talk about squads. Depth. That's what he's looking for. Depth. Nothing else.
Yeah. And Armen, what are your thoughts on the midfield?
I like that Muradian is included because he has been instrumental, big time for Ararat Yerevan this season, even participating with an assist in the cup final, a beautiful assist, by the way, with a through ball. Yeah, I love how Muradian defends. But one thing that doesn't sit right with me, of course, we trust Caparros fully, but I just want to know why he left out Gorian, who is already fit and definitely needs the minutes.
Yeah, that was kind of a head scratcher. That was a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, I was confused there too.
I don't know why. I mean, I understand having Gevor Ghazarian there. I know that he's the one that I always pick on every single time. I know this. I know what you guys are going to say. He's the experienced player, and you need an experienced player. But
he's the team father.
Maybe even I don't know. Maybe even I don't know. I feel like someone could have been left off to have Korian in there.
Because especially if you think that Caparros himself has more than once stated that he was most likely going to leave Vato, Horen, and Tico off this call-up because those 3 starters are actually suspended for the Macedonian game, and they're going to miss the game against Macedonia, so we need more backups to try for that game. And I just don't understand why he called all 3 of them and left players like Gorian out. There are plenty of, potential defenders that could be included, but in the APL, like Talderian or Ararat, so you get with the choice who's gonna be called, Talderian or Ararat. He went with the Talderian this time, but with Gorian, it's very different because Gorian has a past like playing in top leagues like Netherlands and comes from Lokomotiv Moscow and now has had a pretty good Russian Premier League season playing for Khimki in Moscow. But he's been benched since his injury. I don't know what's behind it.
Yeah, it should have been an opportunity for him to come and try a little bit because he missed the other games. It was a great opportunity for this. I don't know. There's some kind of plan, I guess, in the coaching aspect of it.
I just hope he's not like fearing another injury,
Maybe.
I just
that's
hope
possible.
That's not it.
It's management.
Well, we'll see. I think my instinct and my gut tells me it's a formation thing. I think he's focusing a little bit on the 4-4-2 right now, and maybe Vahan is the only real number 10, or Vahan and maybe Spertian are the 2 number 10 options that he chose to look at, considering Vahan, he had him in the squad for the World Cup qualifiers and he didn't play him. I don't know, just trying to figure out his way of thinking.
I just hope that's the case and not a potential injury issue with Gorian.
Yeah, I think persistent injuries would be the scare here. alternative answer that we don't really want to hear. Well, let's move on to the forward section. Armen, walk us through who has been called.
We already talked about Sako. Of course, it's going to be called. And Artur Miranian, who is a player that has done pretty well in the last few games for the Armenian national team. So much so that Miranian got the attention of Ukrainian, Kazakhstani, and Russian clubs, among others.
I've always known he's been a great player.
Yeah, right. Tell the audience, please.
So I think we were talking about him in our WhatsApp group chat, and I had mentioned, I'm like, okay, he's playing really, really well lately. He definitely deserves a call up. This was before the squad had been announced. And Armen proceeded to quote every single time in the group chat. I've said
I have the comments here.
You want to read through that?
I can read that. I can read through that, definitely. So yeah, this is February, okay? Sit down for a laugh. February. Aram says, after a Caparros call-up that Miranian got left off, I guaranteed you Miranian will never be called up. LMFAO. You are the only one who thinks he's good. LOL. Me. Oh, but Aram, he's good. He's so good. You just don't see it. He just has had bad luck and or agents and other extra footballistic stuff. Aram, I am telling you, the FFA's new policy is not to call up washed up players. If you're going to call Miranian, might as well call up other washed up players who are equally as SHIT.
I proceeded to specific.
And last comment by Adam. Yeah, bro, if he was any good, he would be playing elsewhere.
Okay, look, I know when I'm wrong, and this time I was definitely wrong. I think maybe the time that I had spent, actually paying attention to Miranian was during that time that you were talking about, where he's just had very, very bad luck. But he's turned it around. I've watched him play several times lately for Urartu. He's been doing very, very well. And like I said previously, not like any of our other striking options are doing anything special on the pitch anyway. If he can be the one to do it, I wouldn't complain.
And the last striking option is one very interesting option that we have discussed over the group chat, because we're talking about 21-year-old attacking midfielder Karen Melkonian from Urartu, as well as Miranian. So why is Karen Melkonian interesting, you ask? Well, because as we said, he's an attacking midfielder that Caparros apparently sees as a striker.
This is, again, I don't know who puts these graphics together. Maybe we're being misled. Maybe Melkonian was meant to be put in the midfield and he just wasn't for some reason.
I don't think so, because you remember the video that Caparros was writing the names awfully, but misspellings everywhere, but writing the names in that
the previous one.
Yeah, it was beautiful video. And he placed, like, I don't know, Hagopian, he played it, I think he placed it as a fullback that time. Mm-hmm. And then it appeared in the graph, it appeared in the Federation graph, also appeared as a fullback. So, in my opinion, in my experience, what I could call it, these graphs are basically what Caparros says,
Okay.
I think it's specific. I think he's just going to give it a little mix. Just like
I think he sees something in Melkonian that could work as a 4-9 type of thing,
Well, I know that when Urartu press and Miranian is clearly plays up top and Melkonian plays behind him, whenever they press, they go into like a 4-4-2 and Melkonian is pressing alongside Miranian. So maybe when Caparros was watching the matches, he says, okay, he could be that type of player. Similar role to what Sako was playing in the last few matches.
So exactly, and that's not the only thing we gotta say about Melkonian, though, is it?
Yeah, it's not. Melkonian was actually one of the players that were featured in Football Kentron's very first Future Stars of Armenian Football. And this squad actually includes 4 players that we have mentioned as Future Stars of Armenian Football. So
we're doing a good job.
yeah, we're doing a pretty good job. Pat on the back.
I mean, yeah,
round of
what are
applause.
you guys waiting for? Go after this one. Go listen to Future Stars 1 and 2 because Melkonian is definitely, we guarantee, it's definitely not going to be the last one from our episodes to feature future national team games.
Yeah, we're very confident in the list that we put out. That's 100% sure. Well, as you may have heard, or as you may have noticed,
Insert Imperial March from Star Wars.
dun, dun, dun.
Let's get in there.
We have a listener question from @Vahe on Twitter, and he asks us, Football Kentron, are there any red flags for leaving Heno off, or is it just a well-deserved time off needed after a great season with Roma? We were very prepared to answer this question when the initial squad was released, and then something happened. Henrikh Mkhitaryan on his social media posts, if it's actually him, which we can assure you it's not, has posted on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with the following quote. To my surprise, I have been informed by the coaching staff of the Armenian National Team that, for whatever reasons, I wasn't called up for the upcoming games. The provided official reasons aren't convincing to me. I wish, however, the best of luck to our boys in the matches to come. Now, guys. What? What?
Completely unnecessary.
Okay.
My opinion, completely unnecessary.
Go deeper.
Go one by one. Everyone just share your thoughts. I'm going to go
Share your
later
thoughts.
on.
Let's start with you. Go.
Okay. Well, just like I said, completely unnecessary. I think that it's not the time to make this this type of quotes. I don't know. With all the results that we are getting, all the attention that we are getting, and we start fighting between us, it's really stupid. And then, well, we have, of course, like, speaking about football, the team has played really great, not because he was missing, but he was missing, and we managed to get great results. So it's not weird that he's not being called up. I said to Armen before, when the list came out, that at first I didn't realize that Heno wasn't on the list because I'm used to not seeing him on the list. So yeah, I realized when I saw this tweet about him complaining not being called up.
Now, to give us an alternative perspective, Armen, share your thoughts.
Oh, thoughts with an S. Oh my God, yeah. First off, I gotta agree with Tito. Completely unnecessary, big time, with capital U. But from all his statement, from all the pomposity, the only thing he should have said is the last sentence. I wish, however, the best of luck to our boys in the matches to come. Period. Why make all the fuss and further all sorts of divides that we have going on right now? I mean, as you said, Aram, Armenians are, like, as you said before we started recording, Armenians are in a sensitive place right now, and we don't need this kinds of statements, especially, even more so, and this is me, from a guy that's supposed to be our captain. This is not what a captain does, okay? We have gone through this even before this statement or attempt of a statement, and for months prior. Henrikh is a great player, the best performing Armenian player, not necessarily the best Armenian player because, in my opinion, Aras has more talent, but that's a personal appreciation of mine. He is hands down, though, the best performing Armenian player. That's a fact. But he's definitely not a leader. He's definitely not a leader off the pitch, in the locker rooms. Hovhannes Hachumian himself, you guys remember, I believe you do, Hova Hachumian and Caparros said in previous conference presses how literally when the, and I quote, when the most high profile figures don't show up, could also be, as last year showed, when the team picks up the game and gets the results it wanted, and I unquote. That was not making like a direct confrontation, but it was obvious that it was a jab at Henrikh. Why would you criticize Henrikh implicitly if he's like a leader you follow? I don't think he's a leader to follow. I think he's a good guy. I know he's a good guy because I have people like acquaintances that told me in person, but he's definitely not the guy that manages his own schedule. He's definitely not a captain material. And
he's definitely not the person who tweeted this out. That's
not,
for sure.
Not even close. But also from football terms, speaking in football terms, as Tito said, the team just plays better without him. Because I was thinking, there's the off the pitch factor and the on the pitch factor here. And the on the pitch factor is that for 6 years now, and I kid you guys not, for 6 years now, after Henrikh got sold from Borussia Dortmund to Man United, that's when Henrikh started to play bad for the national team. I don't know what happened. By now, I don't care what happened. I just care about what I saw and what we all saw in every national team camp. It was Henrikh looking afraid. It was Henrikh looking even at times uninterested. It was Henrikh like not going to tackle when he was supposed to. It was him missing passes, like obvious short, easy passes. It was him being literally the worst performer in a team full of supposedly bad players. If supposedly bad players play better than you, then I don't know what you're doing there. You got to earn your spot. I mean, and we can go on deeper on this and on Caparros's decision, which we all fully support, luckily here. But yeah, this is a meritocracy. This is no longer you have a name you can play. No, it doesn't matter. We are all equals, and if we want to be the best version of ourselves, we gotta fight for a spot and win our spot fair and square. And I'm glad that's the case.
Well, me too. Chadens, what are your thoughts?
If anyone falls asleep while I'm explaining my thoughts, it's okay, because it's long and it's descriptive. So I'll say, first and foremost, there is a reason for why he reacted, especially his frustration. Even though if he didn't tweet that out, we don't know, or we know, I don't know at this point. But it is understood that loud and clear he has shown great performances the whole season at Roma. That's why he's behaving like this. He's an exceptional player, that's for sure. But it is unnecessary to direct anything towards the squad. And I will get to this very soon. I'll also get to the comments and tweets I've been reading all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to see what the fans think. And there are some very specific conclusions out of it. Now, beginning with why he was left out, in my eyes, it actually makes sense why he was left out. We're not competing against other teams, Croatia and Sweden, in the friendlies, but our squads. And what I mean by this is that we have seen a large development of our national team squads since the Nations League, so since November. Many players have been deployed by Caparros, and it is something that a high-tier manager would be trying with his team in the national team. And he truly succeeded, we have to admit, and it is very tough to do that, especially with the state of the team that it was in a few years ago. It is risky at the start, but exceptional as a result if it has gone as planned, which is going as planned right now. That is why he's trying to use these friendlies as an opportunity to bring on more players. And now that we have Croatia and Sweden, which are massive teams and they are going to be participating in the Euros in June, we have something to show. That leads me to another point. It's for depth reasons. There's no reason why a quality player should come and play this kind of games and something happened to him all of a sudden. You never know with injuries. You're never sure. So this is a massive test to see who can make it for the World Cup squad and who we can deploy in the next months. So it is not just Heno in the Armenian national team. I'm kind of directing this to the audience because many people know that it's just Heno representing our national team. And about the comments and tweets, those are unnecessary as well. Sure, I understand that everyone would have loved to see Henrikh play, but I think the deeper problem is that many people don't know that we have more quality than just Heno himself. He's not the only player in our national team, but unfortunately, that's the only thing that most of the world knows, and we are more than that. Also, there are people who are using this as political thoughts with Caparros' decision. That's very stupid, and it's very unnecessary to actually say that because politics does not match with football. So
it should not. I mean,
exactly.
It kind of does.
It shouldn't not. From the
I
first
agree that
place.
it's mostly harmful, you know?
Yeah. And, the Federation made a statement today, and they reiterated that Joaquin Caparros has full autonomy when it comes to squad selection. They pretty much confirmed that in the past, the Football Federation had a hand in who was selected and who wasn't, but they said very vividly, we don't make the choice. He makes the choice. And they also talked about how certain people within Armenia and within the diaspora were using this specific thing to further a political agenda. The Federation clearly stated there's nothing political about this. The coach decided, I don't want him right now. And you know what? He has to accept it. Period. So, I think what we can do now...
Meritocracy, baby.
Yeah, and it's, you know what? We have no doubt about him getting selected for September matches. He's going to be selected. Let the other people play. We know how good Henrikh is. We have enough footage of Henrikh, and Caparros has enough footage of Henrikh to know exactly what he wants to do with him in his system. And the major thing I got that a lot of people were telling me was, oh, don't you think he should get practice with the team if this is such a new look team? And I'm like, no, not necessarily. Because if you have a world-class coach, which we do, and if you have a world-class player, which Henrikh is, it shouldn't take more than an hour in a film room for Joaquin Caparros and his coaching staff to get his message across to Henrikh of what he wants to do on the pitch. It doesn't matter. Henrich's an amazing player. Henrikh has some of the best vision in all of world football. He's going to know the role of everyone else. He's been watching the games just like you and me. He knows what's going on, and he has a bigger football IQ than all of us. So if he's watching these games, he could see the tactics. No, he doesn't necessarily need to play with them. He's not 12. He knows. It's a dumb argument. I'm sorry. And I'm sure that makes sense to a lot of people. And I've even had coaches tweet me saying that, no, he should be practicing. He should get some practice time with them. But you know what? This isn't local level. This isn't AYSO. This isn't even college. We're talking about a seasoned world-class professional He doesn't need to do that. This is a national team. National teams used to not even get this much time together. It's a moot point. Anyway, moving on to the next topic, which is the friendly matches that Armenia is going to be playing. So first up, we have Croatia. Croatia, of course, the finalists in the last iteration of the FIFA World Cup. They lost to France, who, in my opinion, are the favorites to win these Euros. And now, just a quick overview of this Croatia squad. Lots of players that play in very high-quality teams. We're talking Leipzig. We're talking Lille, who just won Liga Atletico Madrid, Zenit, Marseille, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Inter, Genoa, Atlanta, Cesca, Inter, Hoffenheim, Wolfsburg, Dinamo Zagreb, Osasuna, AC Milan. These guys play in top European teams. They are currently they're currently top of their World Cup qualifying group. They have 2 wins and 1 loss. They had a 1-0 loss to Slovenia, which was weird. They had a 1-0 win over Cyprus, so they narrowly beat Cyprus. And they have a 3-0 win over Malta, which you would very much anticipate them to dominate and win. They are joint top with Russia at 6 points currently, and Russia has the same 2 wins and 1 loss. And their Euro group is Group D with the Czech Republic, England, and Scotland. Now, here's the question I'm posing to you guys. How do we expect Caparros to approach this match? Talking formation, personnel, youth versus experience. Is he going to play new players? Is winning more important, or is testing the players more important? Let's start with you, Tito. What do you think?
I think he should start with the experienced team. You can't just start all these new players that they play on the domestic league and they never played against such great players like Croatia is presenting. So I think that winning is not important on this match. Against Sweden also is not important. The important thing is testing the players through the match. Like on the second half, I think he should start getting all the young players if we are not losing, like, I don't know, like 5-0 or something like that. But I think he's looking for more like chances, like for more depth and seeing how the team functions.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think results are as important in this. I know that if we lose, everyone's going to be like, oh, Henrikh, yeah, if he played, we would have won. Not the case. We probably would have lost worse. Anyway, it's true.
Which is true.
Those comments are stupid.
I agree. They're very stupid. But you know what?
Yeah, and they're always in line. You know, you expect them by now.
Yeah.
There's always going to be stupid people commenting stupid stuff from both sides of any spectrum. So just,
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I think as long as these players take their chance, and I'm looking at specific players in our squad, such as Girard Sharoyan. I would love to see him score a goal because he's itching for that. Edouard Spertian, I want to see a solid 90 minutes from him. Vahan Bichakcan, I really, really think he needs a breakthrough. I think he's a little bit stagnant right now, and he has been for the past few months because he's been coming off the bench a lot for Žilina. And I feel like he really he has something to prove, So those are 3 players in particular. And Artur Miranian, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he performs. So again, not necessarily about results, but Chadens, what do you think? What do you think the approach is going to be against Croatia?
Testing, definitely is going to be testing. It's going to be friendly, so I'm guessing there's going to be unlimited subs, right? So it's again just, I think, testing. We cannot be sure of what we're fully expecting, even though it's going to be a difficult match with all the quality players they have against us. On the other hand, the other teams have something to prove. We have something to show ourselves, our own squad, what we can do they have a point of what they can do as Croatia in the Euros. So both teams are. It's going to be the same with Sweden, I think. That it's both teams are going to be going with different aims to the match. So it's going to be testing, mixing, trying out new players, also trying to go as it was before.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be steady.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at individual performances. We know Croatia, I don't know if the manager is planning on, putting out the strongest lineup possible right off the bat. I highly doubt that. I'm sure there are a couple of positions that are up for grabs and players are going to try to, work for them. And so this is a team that's preparing for a major tournament, and this is probably going to be the best team we faced in over a year. Not probably, definitely is going to be the best team we faced in over a year. So it's going to be a good test. Let's see. Moving on to Sweden. Armenia is then, after playing Croatia, going to be traveling to Sweden, where they will be playing the Swedes in their final match until our World Cup qualifiers in September. Sweden is currently second in their World Cup qualifying Group B, behind Spain and ahead of our buddies Greece and our those other guys, Georgia or whatever. So Sweden have 2 wins, 0 draws, and 0 losses. They have a 1-0 win versus Georgia and a 3-0 win versus Kosovo. Their Euro group is Group E and consists of Spain again, Slovakia, and Poland. How can we expect Caparros to approach this match? So Sweden is a lot more similar to Armenia than we think. They had a very big issue known as Zlatan Ibrahimovic. They were playing with Ibrahimovic. He's clearly their star player. He's an unreal striker. I've seen him play in person. He's crazy. But every time they played with Ibrahimovic, they played terribly. And then when Ibra retired from international duty, they started to play really, really well. So this is a very well team-oriented Sweden. They are not like Croatia, where they play at Real Madrid, Chelsea, teams like that. Don't get me wrong. The Swedish players play at very good teams at high levels. They have a player at Juventus. They have a player at Sociedad, at Manchester United, Copenhagen, Everton, Newcastle, Sampdoria, Watford. They have players in very high places. Definitely much more better than Armenia, for sure. How do you approach a more defensive team-oriented team like Sweden versus a very individualistic and super talented Croatia? What do you think, Armin?
Well, hang on, there it is. I don't know. I gotta agree with the guys. This is a window that's gonna be about testing, and results are important partially because you don't care if you lose, but you don't want to lose by too much because it's still a game against great teams that you want to do well against. I don't know. They're Scandinavian, just like Iceland, and I guess their players are maybe more balanced than Iceland, that had more like big-sized type of players.
Yep. Would have said the same. Yep.
Yeah, and Iceland play more long balls, crosses, like play a little too much off the ground. And Sweden is a bit more balanced, but still we can take them. And actually, an interesting fact is that Sweden has 3 players from Krasnodar. So I guess Spertian must know them well. Amongst them is experienced striker Markus Berg. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. Okay. There's a lot to say, man. There's also the U21 players that are not going to be available against Sweden. So if they do play players like Talderian, like Shahoyan, goalie Narcissian, those guys would play in the first game if they play. So there's another question for Caparros. What do you do? Do you sub those in against Croatia? Do you start them? There's a lot of question marks for Caparros, and there should be, from our end, from the fans, more understanding than there's been. There has been like a core of fans, a big number of fans that are like us, just wait and see, trust the process, don't try to say anything too rash. But there's also the other part, and Caparros doesn't need more conflict than he's already having.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So these two matches, again, are going to be played on June 1st against Croatia, and that's going to be in the Velika Gorica Stadium. I hope I said that right. And against Sweden on June 5th, in Stockholm at the Friends Arena. So we are very excited that the national team is back. Time kind of flew by from the the first set of World Cup qualifiers, and honestly, I'm hoping the time goes by just as fast because I can't wait for September. Now, I'm going to go one by one to each of you guys. What is something specific, super detailed, that you want to see in either one of these matches? So that could be something like, I want to see Shahoyan score a goal, or I want to see Spertian dribble past 2-3 players. What's something specific that you guys want to see in these matches? We'll start with you, Tito.
I think that what you said, I agree with you. I'm expecting maybe Shahoyan or Bichakchan to score a goal or give a good image, so they can maybe push for a really good transfer, because these are both great games for showing.
Agreed. Let's see. Chadens, what do you got for us?
Two things. One is to concede as little goals as possible.
Well, how many goals between the two games? What's like your target? What would you say?
Between the two games, in total, not to concede more than 3.
Okay.
And in attacking wise, to have a better, more efficient way of attacking than the last few games that we played for the World Cup.
So you're saying more efficient attacking, so be more like convert chances more. That's what you're saying.
Not necessarily, yes.
Not necessarily create more chances, but
create as well. So
okay.
be more fluid with the attack.
Okay.
Be more confident with the attack to show us that they have improved in the attack.
Okay, and on menu.
I want to see the same as Tito, really. I want to see the younger ones, and I bet that's one of Caparros' main objectives, main goals. I want to see the younger ones, especially the ones playing in Armenia, that have even less attention in a way, like, I don't know, Talderian, Hachumian, Hagopian, and up top, Davidian, Midanian, and Melkonian. Those 6 players, I want to see them play good. And some of them won't play against Sweden, as we said, but say Davidian, Spertian, and Midanian, that are definitely not available to play for the U21, will play against Sweden. I hope they have a great game in more than 30 minutes each.
Yeah, I completely agree. And let me say mine. I want to see Davidian dribble past 3 players and give an assist. That's mine.
Okay, that's pretty specific. Let's double down a little.
Okay.
Which 3 players?
Oh, I'm not going to give you 3 players. Jesus Christ, bro. I don't know who's going to start. No, but I specifically, but I will put money that Davidian will dribble past 3 players in a single dribble and I think he will assist 1 goal. That's what I think. So hopefully, yeah, I hope. Well, that wraps it up for the Armenian national team. The matches are coming thick and fast, and we will be also wrapping up the games. We haven't decided yet if we're going to do it directly after the Croatia game and then again after Sweden. We still haven't made those decisions, but we'll let you guys know on social media what we decide to do. Okay, so quickly to wrap up the show, the Armenia Under-21 Championship squad has been announced. The player list includes several players that we had previously mentioned who are called up for the senior national team, such as Nersesyan and Shahoyan. And they will be playing against the Faroe Islands on June 6th. So Rafael Nazarian, who is the current Armenia Under-21 national team manager, has all these players at his disposal, and he has who mainly play for Bekma in Armenia. And he has also called up Herman Kurbashian, who we're very excited to see more. He's also invited Yerjani Gubasaryan, again, very much excited to see more. And I was looking at the midfield list. Ottoman, there was that player that we had spoken about. He's not being called up again. Is that correct? His name's escaping me at the moment.
Is it Abo Vavetisyan?
Yes, Abo Vavetisyan. Yes.
Yeah, it's more defensive. He's a defensive mid / all sorts of defender. He came off to score a beautiful goal against some Hungarian second division team. I don't remember in Hungary. And we know that he's a defensive player. We've talked about Abov in our previous episode, Future Stars number 2. Go listen, because he's huge physically. But he surprised us, actually, with some real nice skills and dribble and shot talent, which makes him pretty complete of a player.
Yeah, so he's not called up. I'm not sure what the exact reason is for that. We kind of had expected that maybe he would be. But you know what? It's okay. Let's see what the under-21s can do against Faroe Islands. Their group is France, Serbia, Ukraine, North Macedonia, and Faroe Islands. So this is going to be the first match again on June 8th. And hopefully they could kick it off with 3 points, and we could see our under-21s kind of do something good. Now, let's wrap up the show with a listener question. Alexander Kutakos from Twitter asks, how do you guys assess Mkhitaryan as a super sub for the national team? Well, who wants to take this one? Tradens?
Well, he's not even in the squad, but
let's
we
just
don't know.
It's a proposal.
It's a proposal. So he's kind of framing it as, instead of putting a lot of pressure on Henrikh that he has to start every game, and whatnot, just saying, how would you feel if he was a super sub? Let's say come qualifiers in September.
I think in September, everyone needs to be a super sub. That's too much to ask, but I want our national team to be one of the teams that is feared. Mm-hmm. So I think anyone, not just Mkhitaryan, needs to be a player who's recognized.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, because against Romania, Sergius Aldamian, who was by far the most recognizable player on Armenia's squad, because he plays for Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga, he started on the bench and he came off as a super sub at halftime, and that was very much, as Caparros said in an interview after, planned ahead. They said, Sako, in the third game, you're going to start on the bench, you're going to come off at halftime, and you're going to kick ass. So, Alex, to answer your question, honestly, dude, I'm not against it. That sounds like a good idea. It's pretty scary, I think, if we're playing against, Germany, for example, and Henrikh Mkhitaryan is coming off the bench, after 45 minutes. That could shake some boots.
Yeah.
Anything else? Armen, Tito, do you have anything to add?
It's a yes for me.
Tito, what do you think?
No, I think it's insane.
Why?
Despite what Well, despite what I have just said, I really want to see Heno playing on the team, and I think that if Caparros gives him the chance in September, he would be a really important piece for the national team. But well, like I said, no, it's not. I don't know how to say it. It's not insane that he wasn't called up for these games, but seeing him as a super sub, I think it's insane.
So you're saying if he's your best player, he has to be starting?
Yeah, and I don't want to go back to the other subject, but I have to. He's our best player. The team has had work without him. It's not crazy to have 2 games without him, but it's not like he's not going to play again for the national team, or that he is like on the lowest tier of the national team right now.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That was actually misinformation.
That's what I'm saying.
Someone on Reddit that posted the tweet on the Armenian National Team subreddit, the way he framed it, he said, I'm gonna find it, but pretty much he said Henrikh's never gonna play for Armenia ever again. It's like, where did you get that from? Like, how did you go from Henrikh saying upcoming matches, which clearly means the friendlies,
upcoming matches,
yeah, to going to Henrikh's never playing again? Like,
if it's something political, maybe he will never play again. But let's hope it isn't that.
There is a political aspect. I don't think we should get into it. We're not a political show, but
we won't. And Henrikh will play again. I mean, even if we know there is a political aspect, but this is not the end of Henrikh's career, national team career. Trust me.
Yeah, he's just being a little drama queen.
Look, I'll refer to what I said before about it, but I'll be more direct. I'm not generalizing people. I'm not generalizing our audience. I'm not criticizing anyone. But I think what is lacking is the fact that people as in those who come up and try to search Armenian football do not know beyond Mkhitaryan and possibly Movsisyan. And whoever is actually listening to this show, whoever is following to the show, I encourage you, share the show, share about Armenian football, share about any kind of football that we talk about, because it's not just Mkhitaryan. It's every player that we have.
Exactly.
That's what we are. We're not just Henrikh based. It's not just Kim Kardashian. It's like that.
Exactly.
They might be representing the football aspect, but it's not going to be eternal. They will have a legacy, but it's not something eternal.
Exactly.
We are a team. So share, try to teach anyone, because we have a lot of different. We don't just have Armenian audience. We have a large, actually, different, diverse non-Armenian. So that's what I encourage.
There's so much more to us than Heno, than Kim. There's the little System of a Down. There's so much more. You just have to dig deeper.
And and this is something that I've said several times, and this is something that before I ever started writing, before the podcast, before anything, I would always say this to people. I would say, from what I've seen, from what I understand, from all the research I've done, the things I've watched, I know that 10, 15, 20 years down the line, we're going to look back and we're going to say, Henrikh is in the top 5 greatest Armenian players of all time. I hope Henrikh isn't the best player we ever have. I hope he's not. I hope he's not even in the top 10 of the best players we ever have, I hope we get to a point where we look back at Henrikh like we, like we look back, like Germany looks back in the 70s to their teams, because right now Germany team's pretty good. They just won a World Cup, fairly recently. So that's just my mindset. And like we say, and like is the mission of Football Kentron, is we want to spread Armenian football to the English-speaking world, and we want to, provide that information. And that's why we do things like the Future Stars. That's why we record these episodes. That's why we're super obsessive about everything, is because one, we care, and two, we're trying to spread the message that Armenian football is a lot more than just Mkhitaryan. So if you listen to the show, I'm sure you already know this. So that's why we encourage you to please share, please like, do everything and help us spread the word, because ultimately our show and what we do is only going to get as far as you, the listener, lets it go. So we very much urge you and encourage you to please share, please like, please follow us on socials. And remember, games are Tuesday the 1st versus Croatia, Saturday the 5th versus Sweden. And like I said, listen to our old episodes. Future Stars 1 and 2 is already out. Got some fantastic players if you want to know more about some of the players that were called up in this squad. There's no song of the day today. Sorry, we forgot to pick.
This was already way too much to talk about.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
takes a lot.
We're already an hour and 22 minutes into our recording, but this is going to get cut, so it's going to be a lot less than that.
We're going to go to Tebi Hachtanak.
So we will see you guys after the Croatia game, probably, and then again after the Sweden game. We'll decide how we're going to do that, and we'll let you guys know. Thank you for listening to Football Kentron. I have been Adam, and on behalf of Tito, Armen, and Chadens, thank you for listening. Goodbye.
On to victory.